Kita bikin mesra sampai tubuh panas, hati dingin.
Berita membuka cakrawala, sama bertaut udara di gelombang semesta. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir bagi dunia. Kita Indonesia. Gaya budaya alam katulistiwa. Kita kabarkan berita membuka cakrawala, semua bertaut udara di gelombang semesta. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir pada dunia. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir pada dunia. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir pada dunia. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya.
Voice of Indonesia, the overseas service of Radio Republic Indonesia, broadcast in 9 language services: English, French, German, Dutch, Spanish, Arabic, Mandarin, Japanese, and Indonesian. Voice of Indonesia is broadcast via shortwave 3325 kHz and 4755 kHz, and via streaming on voinews.id and RRI Digital on mobile application. We present various programs for you: Diplomatic Forum, The Session, Indonesian Wonder, Miscellany, Let's Speak Bahasa Indonesia, Indonesian pop and regional songs, international musical entertainment, as well as news and information about Indonesia and abroad. Voice of Indonesia, from Indonesia to the world.
Voice of Indonesia from Indonesia to the world. VOA listeners and viewers, the 58th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting and related meetings is taking place now in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia on July 8 to the 11th, 2025. Foreign ministers from ASEAN member states and Timor-Leste along with ASEAN's external partners are gathering to discuss and shape the shared future. And today's VOI Talk will discuss the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting and the opportunity of ASEAN to grow amid the global situation with a researcher at the Center for Southeast Asian Social Students of Universitas Gadjah Mada Indonesia, Bapak Muhadi Sugiono. Good morning, Pak Muhadi. Thank you for joining us on VOI Talk.
Good morning. Thank you for having me with you.
You're welcome, Pak Muhadi. So, Pak Muhadi, how this meeting, according to you, serve as a platform to solve regional and global challenges?
Yes, I think for Indonesia, ASEAN is still a very important platform to deal with situation, especially in the region. Also, the possibility to talk about the problem beyond the region. Why? Because ASEAN is the natural environment for Indonesia. Geographically, this is the countries with whom we share geographical situation as well as geopolitical position. So I think the meeting of ASEAN is all very important for Indonesia.
So actually, what is really needed by ASEAN at this time, considering the current global situation?
There are two things that I find it very important. The first thing is ASEAN need to enhance and strengthen its cohesiveness internally, because it is no doubt that ASEAN is lacking right now about the political as well as social and economic cohesion within the countries in Southeast Asia themselves. And the second one is ASEAN need to present itself as a single and united voice against external actors. So especially in the situation, as you mentioned, the geopolitical situation, geopolitical turbulence in the region and beyond the region, then ASEAN need to show as a single and united actor.
Okay, Pak Muhadi, before moving on to the next question, can you move a bit to the left for a better visual on Zoom our interview? Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Now, moving on to more global situation, global flashpoints such as the conflicts of Israel-Palestine, Israel-Iran, Russia-Ukraine, and currently the U.S. tariff measures. How this affects ASEAN's position and unity?
Well, no doubt that ASEAN actually are not. It's not consisting of homogeneous members. They have different orientation, ideologically, economically they are different, as well as many other differences that makes ASEAN. So in such a situation, there is a possibility that ASEAN cohesion will be in the danger, because one member of ASEAN tend to look at one particular external power while the other are turning into the others. And this has been the case. For example, in the case of South China Sea, while some ASEAN members are confronted with China, then look at the US, and the other are still having a very good relation with China, and so on and so on. So the division in ASEAN is becoming more serious problem.
And from the global one, we go to the regional one, the internal issues in ASEAN like Myanmar, online scams, the South China Sea. How critical is it for ASEAN to address this? Like how big the impact of these issues on ASEAN countries if they are not resolved immediately?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, those issues affect ASEAN into different ways that I mentioned before. Internally, the internal cohesion as well as external cohesion, in the sense that ASEAN can present itself externally as a single actor. But internally, the fact that we cannot solve the problem in Myanmar, and then we still have a problem how to deal with the South China Sea issues, it indicates that the ASEAN still need to find a common position with regard to this kind of issues. There are many things that need to be done in ASEAN to deal with the homework internally.
Malaysia's Prime Minister himself, Anwar Ibrahim, has met frequently with Indonesia's President Prabowo Subianto to discuss ASEAN's future. How do you assess Indonesia's leadership role in the region today?
Well, Indonesia has been a leader in ASEAN, but we cannot take it for granted because our policy is moving toward external world, wider environments beyond ASEAN. And the question is whether or not, with the intention of, especially when we are talking about the current government, when the current government would like to present Indonesia in the wider world, whether or not this will affect Indonesia's interest in ASEAN. So when Indonesia would like to play a more leadership role at the global level, then we need to ask whether this will be done at the expense of Indonesian leadership in ASEAN. I hope that this will not, but who knows? Because looking at the current situation, the current development, it seems to me that Pak Prabowo is traveling a lot to other places outside ASEAN, and even when Pak Prabowo traveled for the first time, it is not ASEAN member countries where he traveled to, but outside ASEAN. So this can be seen as sending the wrong signal that Indonesia is no longer interested with ASEAN.
Okay, and now we talk the President Prabowo's Astacita, Indonesia's long-term strategic vision. So then how can Indonesia utilize more ASEAN to support this?
Well, from time to time, since the establishment of ASEAN, Indonesia enjoy an environment where stability enables Indonesia to focus on the economic development, for example, and internal stability. So ASEAN become a kind of cushion against the external shock, for example, and therefore we need to make sure that ASEAN can play that role. Unless we have the ASEAN as a cushion shock for us, then we will face the turbulence in the world directly, and this will have a significant impact on whatever policy that we have internally, including Astacita.
Okay. And when it comes to the changes of signing the ASEAN nuclear-free zones in the 58 ASEAN foreign ministers meeting, what are the changes that you see?
Well, this is a very significant for us to have a nuclear weapon state sign the Southeast Asian nuclear weapon free zone, because without their endorsement, then nuclear weapon free zone in Southeast Asia does not mean anything, because external power, especially the nuclear weapon state, can intervene without any consequence for them. So by signing, and which means that they recognize that Southeast Asia is basically a region without a nuclear weapon. So this means that no weapon, nuclear weapon, can be brought to Southeast Asia. So this makes Southeast Asia even free from the nuclear weapons. And this is the vision that our leaders at that time really would like to have. And this is in line with the global movement toward the world without nuclear weapons.
Okay, so to conclude all of this, what is the most realistic and impactful outcome that you think ASEAN can deliver from the 58th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting?
So I really would like to see that ASEAN go back to the initial intention of its establishment, that is to maintain stability, to promote economic development within Southeast Asia. And this can only be done by enhancing and as well as strengthening the cohesion among the ASEAN member states. And the second one that I also hope to be achieved within the meeting was to strengthen also the external cohesion of ASEAN toward, the position of ASEAN, the unity of ASEAN in relations to the external world, because the pressure from the external is so strong that if ASEAN is not cohesive enough, they cannot make any bargaining against external world in one voice.
Okay, Pak Muhadi, thank you so much for joining us on today's VOI Talk. ASEAN faces tough choice ahead, but dialogue is always the first step. We'll see you in another VOI Talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, listener, that's today's VOI Talk with a researcher at the Center for Southeast Asian Social Students of Gajah Mada University, Bapak Muhadi Sugiono, talking about the 58th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting that is now being held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Stay tuned for more insightful, inspiring talks on VOI Talks from Voice of Indonesia, from Indonesia to the world.
Voice of Indonesia, the overseas service of Radio Republic Indonesia, broadcast in 9 language services: English, French, German, Dutch, Spanish, Arabic, Mandarin, Japanese, and Indonesian. Voice of Indonesia is broadcast via shortwave 3325 kHz and 4755 kHz, and via streaming on voinews.id and RRI Digital on mobile application. We present various programs for you: Diplomatic Forum, The Session, Indonesian Wonder, Miscellany, Let's Speak Bahasa Indonesia, Indonesian pop and regional songs, international musical entertainment, as well as news and information about Indonesia and abroad. Voice of Indonesia, from Indonesia to the world.